we're going to go back to our new feature here, our audience question. So I'm told that we have another audience member who wants to give us a question. Let's switch to that camera real quick and see if we can do it. There we go. We're on stage. Hey, how you doing, audience member?
Good. How are you?
Good. What is your name?
Connor.
Hi, Connor. Where are you from?
Austin area.
Connor, another one from the Austin area. Yeah. Awesome, Connor. What do you got for us?
Well, first I want to say odd number of gumballs.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just so you know, I'm not going to verify that for you. You are on your own. So.
Yeah.
Well, this one it's not really more of a question. It's more of like a thing that's been going on. It is a religion thing.
Okay.
So it was one of the recent Supreme Court cases that came out. It is concerning even as a theist. So, are you all aware of the case that involved that high school football coach?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The prayer is acceptable in school by representatives of the state. Yes.
So.
And there's two actually, right? There's that one, and then there's also the funding of private schools.
Yep.
Oh, the one up in Maine?
Yeah.
It's Maine, wasn't it? I said Maryland earlier, but yeah, it is Maine. For those who aren't aware, basically there was a coach that was doing prayers for a football team, and this case went over it, and they were saying, no, actually, this is fine. That's what they ruled on, which is new. That's new precedent. I'm pretty sure every time that's ever been done ever, they've always said, no, you can't do that. But now they're saying, yeah, that's totally cool. So kind of in a weird territory there. Right. So, what did you have to say about that, Connor?
Well, it's also a little bit of a background on myself. I am not I'm a theist, but it's more of a minority religion in this country.
Okay.
But it's also like, even when I was a Christian, the idea of attaching to schooling and education specific religious aspects to it has never really sat well, and it's even more of a concern for someone like me now, given how what we assume is the majority religion, depending on how you look at it. And it starts at something this small right now, but I guess the question is always how far does it go?
Yep.
Especially, it's not just a minority religion in this country for me, but a minority religion around the world. And let's just say for the ones who are in those other countries, it is already at the lot worse level over there. And that's hearing their stories is also adds concern.
Yeah. Voting is important. Vote, get out there and vote, because that's how we got a Supreme Court that is putting religion over precedent on a number of things, and will continue to do so until we get a majority back, and get some constitutional scholars back in there who are willing to stand up to the Christian nationalists in this country.
I feel like I don't have to explain this. I feel like anybody who's watching the show intuitively understands this, but in case you don't understand like why this is a big deal, like, oh, it's just a prayer at a football game, like who cares, right? Like, it's about the precedent of these cases that matters, right? Well, it could start as something small. It could start as a prayer on a football team, which is already uncomfortable for those who don't believe in the same religion. And then what happens when schools mandate specific clothing because the religion calls for it? What happens when a school mandates specific curriculum because the religion calls for it? You know, there's a reason why we have these separations of these institutions that we sometimes take for granted, but it is important that we have them.
And public school teachers are an arm of the government, whether they want to be or not, they are. Yeah. They represent the government. And the real problem is that it's very difficult to prove that somebody was taken off of first string football and put on second string because of their beliefs, and not because maybe their skill level fell off or other people's skill levels came up. That people will be ostracized for their beliefs. And the only way to really prevent that is to just not have teachers do any of that, right? Because it's coming from a position of authority, especially as teenagers are teenagers. We probably all remember being teenagers at one point. And walking away from that is not always something you're comfortable doing, especially if you want to play football and you want to be part of the team. And then all of a sudden now you're not a team player. You are being ostracized. And the teacher doesn't have to do that. The team could do that, right? You're not a team player because you didn't pray with us. And those are the problems that it raises. And it's not just for Christians. It is for any minority faith. It is for everybody. And this is why we try and keep the wall separated between, religion and government, is because when you're in a position of authority, it's almost impossible to get away from that and to say, oh, I'm not doing this as my position of authority. I'm not doing this as a government. Teachers can't do that. They are still a part of a government, whether they want to be.
That's true.
So would y'all mind if I shared it's along those same lines, but the story is it's in a more extreme version of what we
something that happened personally to you?
Well, not personally, but it's a story I heard an elderly gentleman tell me about when he was in high school in Iran.
Okay.
So the minority religion that we're both a part of is the Baha'i faith, and it's outlawed over there. And well, when he was growing up, when he told me about how it was almost like once a day they would take him out of class, and this would be staff, faculty, and they would just start beating him with I guess whatever random object they had on them at the time.
Yeah, and that that's something that definitely couldn't happen here, since corporal punishment's pretty much outlawed at the moment. Although the Bible does have something about spare the rod, spoil the child, or something.
Yeah.
That's not what we want to do. We want to keep that wall separated between religion and government as much as humanly possible.
Yep. And that's why it's important that we talk about this and vote when we can, although with our current system, at least on a Supreme Court level, we really can't do much as individual citizens.
At the moment, yeah.
Which is pretty terrifying. But Connor, thanks so much for
thanks, Connor.
sharing your story with us and, talking about, despite not being an atheist, you still understand. And hopefully Christians understand. I feel like when I was a Christian, I understood this, right?
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't a big deal for me. Like, I don't want people of any faith telling me what to do or how I should be doing things while I'm at school, because that's just not cool. And I also went to a school with like a lot of other Muslim kids and went to school with like kids of other faiths. So that just seemed very intuitive to me. But I can see if you grow up in a bubble of like just Christians, it's just like, this is great. Why wouldn't we want to give this to everybody, right?
Yeah.
But not so great. Anyway, thanks again, Connor, for doing that with us.